Have you ever stopped to reflect on the fact that one of the most relaxing and automatic moments of your daily routine could be, in truth, one of the most severe cardiovascular stress tests for your body after the age of 60? The daily bath, often seen only as a ritual of hygiene and comfort, hides silent dangers that most of us completely ignore, transforming the bathroom environment into an invisible risk scenario for the heart and for your physical autonomy. Imagine that while you relax under the hot water, your body is waging a monumental internal battle to keep blood pressure stable and ensure adequate blood flow reaches the brain. This video is not about creating unfounded fear, but about revealing a critical frontier of longevity that happens within four walls, where a simple choice of temperature can be the divider between independence and a sudden health event. The great revelation we intend to explore today is that thermal regulation and the stability of your blood pressure during the bath are fundamental pillars for those who wish to age with absolute lucidity and physical vigor. What many consider an accidental fall or a passing malaise when leaving the shower is, frequently, the result of a collapse in communication between the nervous system and the blood vessels, which become less resilient with the passing of decades. Understanding how excessive heat, accumulated vapor, and rapid changes in position affect your myocardium is the key to transforming a common habit into an active tool for vascular protection and the prevention of serious accidents. Throughout this profound guide, you will learn that total control over your bathing variables is one of the most powerful gestures of self-care to ensure that your freedom and dignity remain intact for many years. The act of bathing is so deeply rooted in our routine that we rarely stop to analyze the physiological demand it imposes on a body that has already crossed the 60-year mark. It is precisely because it is a domestic and private ritual that the risks remain hidden under a veil of perceived safety and comfort. For most people, a hot bath is the ultimate remedy for a stressful day, a moment when the mind wanders and the body yields to the warmth. However, for the aging cardiovascular system, this comfort can represent a sudden and violent challenge to keep blood flow reaching vital organs properly. While we focus on the water, our heart is working double shifts to compensate for the rapid changes in external temperature. This silence is dangerous because it prevents us from identifying the subtle signs of distress that precede a major cardiovascular event. As we age, the margin of error in our internal regulatory systems becomes narrower, making common habits potentially dangerous if they are not managed with full awareness. Statistics show that the bathroom is the site of a vast majority of domestic accidents among the elderly, many of which are triggered by syncopes or sudden drops in blood pressure during or right after the bath. Millions of people over 60 experience mild dizziness, palpitations, or a feeling of heavy legs while washing, but they dismiss these symptoms as mere consequences of tiredness or age. They do not realize that these are clear distress signals from a heart struggling to pump blood against the vasodilation effect of the heat. This lack of awareness transforms a simple daily habit into a silent trigger for hospitalizations that could have been avoided with the correct knowledge and preventive action. To understand the magnitude of this challenge, we must look at the biological transformations that occur within the aging body. One of the most critical changes is the slowing of the baroreflex, the internal mechanism responsible for adjusting blood pressure instantaneously when we change position or experience thermal variations. In a young person, this adjustment happens in milliseconds, but after 60, the response is often sluggish, leaving the brain temporarily under-oxygenated. Furthermore, the natural stiffness of the arteries makes it harder for the vascular system to accommodate the sudden surge in blood volume caused by hot water, coupled with reduced thermal sensitivity, which often leads the elderly to use water that is dangerously hot without realizing it. The heart is forced into an exhaustive compensatory state. This combination of factors creates a perfect storm that can lead to silent ischemia or sudden loss of consciousness. The central conflict we face when entering the bathroom every day is the invisible battle between the desire for deep relaxation and the actual capacity of our circulatory system to withstand thermal stress. Often, the habit of seeking an excessively high water temperature acts as a silent saboteur of your vascular health. When extreme heat hits the skin, it causes an immediate dilation of the superficial blood vessels, which feels comforting at first but generates a sudden drop in internal pressure. For a heart over 60, this abrupt redistribution of blood requires a compensatory effort that the myocardium is not always prepared to perform with total efficiency. This common error of underestimating the power of heat transforms the bath into a battlefield where your hemodynamic stability is put to the test without you even perceiving the real danger you are facing. What is truly at stake in this scenario is not just a moment of passing dizziness, but the preservation of your total autonomy and physical dignity over the years. A faint or a fall in the shower resulting from poorly managed pressure oscillation represents one of the greatest turning points in the life of anyone who prizes their independence. The consequences of a domestic accident in this private environment can be devastating, leading to serious fractures or cardiovascular complications that impose a sudden dependence on caregivers and family members. By ignoring the warning signs your body sends under the hot water, you risk the freedom to manage your own routine without external help. Therefore, understanding and adjusting this daily habit is a matter of personal power, ensuring that your domestic refuge remains a place of strengthening and security, never of extreme vulnerability or physical decline. The first fundamental pillar for understanding this dynamic is the mechanism of abrupt vasodilation caused by the intense heat of the water on the surface of the skin. When you step under a very hot stream of water, your peripheral blood vessels dilate instantly to try to dissipate that heat, which generates a phenomenon known as blood flow sequestration. In this process, a massive amount of blood is directed to the outermost layers of the body, leaving the central areas and primarily the brain with a reduced supply of oxygen and nutrients. For an organism over 60, this change is not just an aesthetic or comfort adjustment, but a profound hemodynamic alteration that demands an immediate response from the heart. If your vessels no longer possess the elasticity of youth, this dilation can be so extensive that blood pressure plummets in a matter of seconds. This sudden drop in internal pressure forces your myocardium to enter a state of severe compensatory effort, often resulting in tachycardia or palpitations that you feel clearly in your chest. The heart tries to beat faster to ensure that the little blood remaining in the center of the body can reach the head, fighting against gravity and the excessive dilation of the peripheral veins. In older adults, this additional stress can be the trigger for small arrhythmias or a sense of impending dizziness that many ignore, thinking it is just the relaxing effect of the steam. Ignoring this biological reaction is dangerous because the body is operating at the limit of its functional reserve, and any extra effort, such as abruptly bending over to wash your feet, can be the breaking point. It is vital to recognize that the pleasure of heat should not overtax your motor's pumping capacity. To avoid this risk scenario, the practical guidance is to adjust your thermostat to a lukewarm temperature, which is pleasant to the touch without causing immediate reddening of the skin. The aging body has a reduced thermal perception, which means you often only feel the water is too hot when your circulatory system is already in crisis. By keeping the temperature moderate, you allow vasodilation to occur gradually and in a controlled manner, giving your heart time to adjust without shocks or extreme demands. Correcting this simple habit not only protects you against sudden fainting in the bathroom, but also preserves the health of your arteries, avoiding stress peaks that accumulate over time. Remember that the bath should be a moment of restoration of life and not a resistance challenge for your aging vascular system that could compromise your long-term independence. Before we move on to the second block regarding the trap of vapor, I would like to recognize your search for longevity. If you value your autonomy and want to protect your heart, subscribe to the channel right now. Take a moment to comment if you have ever felt dizzy in the bath. Your experience strengthens our community. The next risk is the saturation of humidity in enclosed spaces. When the bathroom becomes filled with the steam from hot water, the available oxygen decreases, making gas exchange in the lungs more difficult. For those over 60, this saturated air causes dyspnea, often mistaken for tiredness. but it is a real respiratory stress that puts the body on unnecessary physiological alert. This effort to breathe in dense, hot air demands even more from the myocardium, increasing physical exhaustion and generating reactive pressure peaks that can compromise long-term vascular stability. This respiratory discomfort caused by excess vapor ends up generating a physiological anxiety response even if you do not feel mentally worried at the moment. Your body perceives the difficulty in capturing oxygen fully and reacts by releasing small doses of adrenaline, which in a reactive manner can raise your blood pressure to dangerous levels. It is a cruel paradox. You take a hot bath to relax, but the closed environment and excessive steam end up triggering a stress mechanism inside your organism. This pressure oscillation, going from a drop due to vasodilation to a peak due to respiratory stress, is extremely draining for the artery walls and the stability of the heart rhythm. Over time, this daily hemodynamic instability contributes to the decline of vascular health, increasing the risk of silent acute events that could be easily avoided with proper ventilation. The solution for this pillar is simple and immediate, requiring only a small adjustment in how you prepare your personal care environment. It is fundamental to always keep a ventilation gap in the window or the door, allowing vapor to escape and fresh air to circulate continuously through the room. This practice ensures that oxygenation remains constant and that the room temperature does not reach levels that trigger the respiratory stress and physical anxiety mentioned earlier. By ensuring adequate airflow, you eliminate one of the biggest triggers for reactive hypertensive peaks, making the bathing experience much lighter and truly invigorating for your body. Additionally, proper ventilation helps maintain your spatial awareness and balance, significantly reducing the chances of disorientation caused by excessive heat and lack of visibility, ensuring your safety remains the top priority. Postural transition, specifically the act of leaving the bath or standing up abruptly, constitutes the third pillar of critical risk for the functional longevity of those over 60. After spending several minutes under the relaxing effect of warm water and vasodilation, your blood tends to pool in the lower limbs, making rapid venous return to the heart difficult. When you decide to exit the shower box hastily, your nervous system needs to send immediate signals for the vessels to contract and the blood to rise to the brain against the force of gravity. In the aging body, this response is often sluggish or faulty, resulting in so-called orthostatic hypotension, that sudden dizziness that makes vision darken for a few seconds. This is the moment of greatest vulnerability, where the risk of traumatic falls and serious fractures becomes a real threat to your continued independence. To neutralize this danger, it is essential to implement what we call the 2-minute rule, or strategic postural stabilization pauses before leaving the humid environment. Instead of exiting the bath and immediately starting to dry yourself while standing frantically, try sitting on a dedicated bath bench or remaining still and supported for a few moments. This extra time allows your cardiovascular system to recalibrate blood pressure and for blood to return to the body's center in a gradual and safe manner for the brain. This small adjustment in routine is a powerful shield against head trauma and injuries that could permanently change the course of your life. By mastering your exit from the bath with calmness and presence, you demonstrate superior control over your own aging, transforming prevention into a habit of power and ensuring you remain in charge of your body. The benefits of correcting this postural transition extend far beyond the simple prevention of an immediate tumble on the wet bathroom floor. By avoiding these sudden drops in blood pressure, you protect the integrity of your nervous system against recurring episodes of microischemia, which can contribute to cognitive decline over decades of life. Every time you avoid a syncope or a faint, you are preserving your mobility and ensuring that you will not have to face the complications of a hospital stay for avoidable fractures. Postural stability is one of the pillars of autonomy in old age, and the bathroom is the daily laboratory where you can train and strengthen this capacity. Acting with caution in this moment is not a sign of weakness, but rather of a sharp biological intelligence that prioritizes the maintenance of individual freedom above any unnecessary haste. The fourth pillar addresses the phenomenon of reverse thermal shock, which occurs when the body is exposed to a sudden change in temperature when entering or leaving the bath. For a heart already facing the natural stiffness of the arteries, this abrupt transition causes an immediate and violent vasoconstriction, making blood pressure rise uncontrollably in milliseconds. Imagine the stress suffered by the myocardium in having to pump blood against vessels that have suddenly closed due to the shock between hot water and cold air. For those who already have hypertension or established cardiac fragility, this pressure peak is an invitation to serious decompensation or even acute coronary events in a private setting. Thermal shock is one of the greatest enemies of circulatory stability and maturity, requiring a thermal transition that is always smooth and very well planned to protect your life and health. To mitigate this risk, the secret lies in moderation and the careful preparation of the environment surrounding your daily bath time. Ensure that the water temperature is gradually reduced before you turn off the shower, allowing your skin and blood vessels to adapt to the room temperature progressively. Additionally, having a bathrobe or towel within immediate reach, avoiding direct exposure to the cold bathroom air right after the warmth of the shower, is an essential cardiovascular protection measure. These small actions prevent your body from suffering unnecessary pressure peaks, keeping your heart in a zone of safety and constant thermal comfort. By adopting this protocol of gradual cooling, you transform your bath into an ally of longevity, protecting your vascular network against the impacts of thermal changes and ensuring that your heart remains strong and resilient. Consider the story of a 72-year-old gentleman who always took pride in his extremely hot baths, believing that intense steam was the secret to his vitality. He frequently felt inexplicable chronic fatigue and mild dizziness throughout the day, never suspecting that the culprit was his morning home sauna ritual that exhausted his cardiovascular system daily. Upon discovering that his heart was being pushed to the limit by excessive vasodilation, he decided to implement the gradual cooling protocol and use a bench for postural stabilization upon exiting the shower. Within a few weeks, the dizziness disappeared and his energy returned, proving that small adjustments in routine can restore safety and autonomy to someone who previously feared being alone. If you have made it this far, share this video with your family members. Protecting those we love is the greatest gesture of care we can offer today. It is fundamental to understand that the human body does not age randomly or purely by biological bad luck. It is the direct result of the accumulation of small decisions made over decades. The functional decline we observe in the cardiovascular system, especially during routine acts like bathing, is not a sudden event, but a silent progression that can be managed with wisdom and presence. Every time you choose to adjust the water temperature or respect your body's stabilization time, you are exercising an act of sovereignty over your own biology. Aging, when faced with this intellectual depth, ceases to be a process of inevitable loss to become a journey of refining self-perception. Understanding that small daily habits have an accumulated impact of years is what separates those who merely survive from those who maintain dignity and full autonomy throughout their senior years. It is natural to feel a certain apprehension upon realizing that a place of such intimacy, like the shower, can become a stage for silent and dangerous biological instabilities. However, this fear should not paralyze you, but rather serve as a powerful compass for a more conscious, protected, and truly autonomous life. Every biological alert we have discussed so far, from the sudden increase in heartbeats to the drop in pressure, is a clear sign that your body still possesses vitality and is actively communicating with you. Hope lies in the fact that aging is not a sentence of inevitable fragility, but an invitation to adjust our daily rhythm with greater wisdom and precision. By adopting these simple safety measures, you are not just avoiding a domestic accident, you are strengthening your cardiovascular reserve and proving that you hold the control over your own destiny and health. Ignoring these warning signs and maintaining negligent habits in the bathroom can trigger a cascade of catastrophic events that permanently compromise your quality of life. An apparently harmless faint under the shower can result in a femur fracture, one of the biggest turning points in old age, leading to the definitive loss of mobility and the need for constant assistance for intimate tasks. Furthermore, Frequent pressure oscillations can cause silent damage to the brain, accelerating cognitive decline and depriving you of the lucidity you prize so much. On the other hand, the one who chooses to act preventively, managing temperature and ventilation, builds a shield against family dependence and recurring hospitalizations. By transforming the bath into a safety protocol, you ensure that your home remains a refuge of freedom, allowing you to continue being the protagonist of your own story with vigor and absolute physical dignity. Many people believe that dizziness in the bath is caused only by humidity, but a fundamental turning point is realizing that this moment can be a training tool for your heart. The most surprising revelation is that the most ignored item is not just the water temperature, but the speed at which you end the bath and leave the shower box. The act of turning off the water and immediately coming into contact with cold air without a thermal transition phase is what frequently triggers silent hypertensive crises. Additionally, there is the counterintuitive information that drinking a glass of water before entering the shower helps maintain plasma volume and prevents the drop in pressure. This perception changes everything, transforming what was once a threat into a conscious protocol of cardiovascular strengthening and control over your longevity, giving you back the power of prevention. For you to feel the immediate utility of this knowledge, I propose that your next bath be performed under the new protocol of safety and vascular power. Begin by drinking a glass of water minutes before entering the shower, ensuring that your blood volume is hydrated to face vasodilation. During the bath, monitor your body's signals. If you feel your heart racing or a slight pulsing, reduce the water temperature immediately. When you finish, do not leave in a hurry. Sit or support yourself for 2 minutes, allowing your pressure to stabilize before facing the external air. These simple changes, like keeping the door slightly ajar and drying yourself while still in the warm environment, are routine adjustments that transform your hygiene into a ritual of strengthening. Observing how your organism reacts to these actions will bring confidence and absolute control over your own longevity and physical well-being. As we reach the end of this journey of knowledge, it is clear that the bath is not just an act of hygiene, but a vital frontier where you exercise your sovereignty over aging. We understand that controlling the temperature, ventilating the environment, and maintaining calm during postural transition are the pillars that protect your heart from unnecessary efforts and ensure your total physical and mental independence. From today on, observe every sign from your body and treat these small adjustments as valuable investments in your longevity, autonomy, and full dignity. Small daily decisions accumulated over decades of life determine whether you will face old age with fragility or with power and absolute biological control. How will your next bath be after discovering these secrets? Leave your reflective answer in the comments, subscribe to the channel for more guidance, and share this video with those you wish to see aging with security.